Good evening. Welcome to the Nassau County Board of Commissioners meeting, 5 p.m., March 24th. Calling the meeting to order. Please rise for the invocation and our Pledge of Allegiance. The invocation will be given by Mr. Irving Gilliard this evening.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening, sir.
Our Heavenly Father, we honor you, we praise you, we give you all honor and all glory, and we're so thankful that you have blessed us to be here this evening. And we ask a blessing upon our county commissioners as they go through the agenda, that you just lead and guide them in the direction that would be beneficial to the citizens of Nassau County. Continue to bless them and their families. Ask a blessing or two for those that support them through the county manager's office, county attorney's office. And we ask a blessing too upon our first responders as they go through dangers they see and dangers they might see. And continue to bless our military as they protect this country. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Amen. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag of our country.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you all. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner McCullough. Here. Commissioner Gray.
Here.
Commissioner Farmer.
Here.
Commissioner Martin.
Here.
And Chair Huffman.
Here. County Manager, any expansions or deletions to the agenda?
No, sir, not tonight, thank you.
Okay, County Attorney, any expansions or deletions?
I have none, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll start out tonight with proclamations. Tab A, approve a proclamation of the Board of County Commissioners in Nassau County, Florida, recognizing Pat Gilroy on his retirement from Nassau County Development Services. I'll entertain a motion on Tab A.
Chairman, go ahead.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion from Commissioner McCullough, a second from Commissioner Martin. All in favor?
Aye.
Mr. Martin, if you'd please do the honors of
My pleasure.
presenting.
Is Mr. Gilroy here? Proclamation of the Board of County Commissioners of Nassau County, Florida. Retirement of Patrick Gilroy, March 24th, 2025. Whereas Patrick Gilroy began his employment with Nassau County on February 23rd, 1999, as a construction engineering inspector with the Public Works Department. And whereas Patrick Gilroy has always strived to ensure the best road construction for the citizens of Nassau County, and has reflected great credit upon himself and the Board of County Commissioners. And whereas Patrick Gilroy was promoted to the position of Plans Review Specialist with the Engineering Department in April 2018 and stayed in that position until he announced his retirement effective March 31st, 2025. And whereas Patrick Gilroy has been an integral part of the training and leadership of staff throughout his career and consistently given his all for the employees and residents of Nassau County. And whereas Patrick Gilroy will be greatly missed by those who had the pleasure to work with him, as well as the citizens of Nassau County that he worked so hard for. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed this 24th day of March, 2025, by the Board of County Commissioners of Nassau County, Florida, that the Board publicly commends Patrick Gilroy for his outstanding service and dedication to Nassau County. The Board, on behalf of all the citizens of Nassau County, extends their sincere appreciation to Patrick Gilroy for all he has done to make this county great. And the Board hereby expresses best wishes to Patrick Gilroy for continued health and happiness in the years to come. It is signed by our Chairman, Commissioner Huffman, and attested to for form by our County Attorney, Denise May. Oh, is your family here? I'm sorry, I should have invited them up. Did you want to get in this? Anyone else? Any other family?
Is Caleb going to talk?
I got one more thing for you. And to commemorate your retirement, in recognition and appreciation of 26 years of outstanding and dedicated service to Nassau County and its citizens, to Patrick Gilroy from the Board of County Commissioners, and your service was between February 23rd, 1999, and March 31st, 2025. Oh, did you get it? Now, you can't get away without saying a few words.
Well,
Okay, here she is.
Mr. Gilroy, before you speak, I'd like to ask Caleb Hurst to come up and say a few words.
Okay.
That way, if he says anything you want to rebut, you'll have the opportunity.
Good evening, Commissioners. Caleb
Good evening.
Hurst, Development Services Director. Just say a few words today about Pat. We've been here past couple of years, been here for a few different things. He served 25 years. We celebrated that last year. Year before, he had Employee of the Quarter. So I know for those who didn't know Pat, you probably know him now after we've spoke about him several times. But I just wanted to get up here one last time and say a sincere thank you. So I know when I first started here 6 years ago, Pat was my direct report, but he helped me and guided me in learning what I know now for the roadway construction. So I can truly say that he's not only helped me directly in my journey here at the county, but he's helped just about every employee we've had and helped each one, teaching them exactly what it means to work for Nassau County. So I just wanted to take a minute to say thank you to him.
Well, my Nassau County journey started 26 years ago. I came over to visit a friend. He was basically my boss in Panama, in the military. I had an impromptu interview with some of the people you may remember, Public Works Director at that time, Jack. But I got hired and I got stuck with 3 jobs. It was rough, very rough, but it was a good learning experience. And ever since then, things have been really easy. So I really appreciate all the people I work with. But it's time to move on, for a new journey. 31 years ago, I promised that pretty young lady back there that I would take her back to Panama, and that's what I plan on doing. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Pat. Thank you, Mr. Martin. Tab B. Tab B, approve a proclamation of the Board of County Commissioners in Nassau County, Florida, proclaiming the week of April 6th through April 12th as National Library Week. I'll entertain a motion on tab B.
Motion to approve.
Motion from Commissioner Farmer.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Gray. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0. Mr. Farmer, if you would please present that proclamation.
Anyone here from the library?
Yeah, folks from the library that are here to,
Is Ms. Canavino here?
there they are. Come on up,
Oh,
please.
Friends of the
I'm sorry.
Library, yeah, come on up. I didn't know who was coming. For sure. Welcome. How are you? It's good to see you. Yes, sir. Thank you for being here. Thank you. Yep, we won't miss this guy. Yes, sir. Thank you. All right. Proclamation of the Board of County Commissioners, Nassau County, Florida, National Library Week. April 6th through the 12th, 2025. Whereas libraries spark creativity, fuel imagination, and inspire lifelong learning, offering a space where individuals of all ages can explore new ideas and be drawn to new possibilities. And whereas libraries serve as vibrant community hubs, connecting people with knowledge, technology, and resources while fostering civic engagement, critical thinking, and lifelong learning. And whereas libraries provide free and equitable access to books, digital tools, and innovative programming, ensuring that all individuals, regardless of background, have the support that they need to learn, connect, and thrive. And whereas libraries partners with schools, businesses, and organizations, connecting the dots to maximize resources, increase efficiency, and expand access to essential services, strengthening the entire community. And whereas libraries empower job seekers, entrepreneurs, and lifelong learners by providing access to resources, training, and opportunities that support career growth and economic success. And whereas libraries nurture young minds through story times, STEAM programs and initiatives, fostering curiosity and a love of learning that lasts a lifetime. And whereas dedicated librarians and library workers provide welcoming spaces that inspire discovery, collaboration, and creativity for all. And whereas libraries, librarians, and library workers across the country are joining together to celebrate National Library Week under the theme Drawn to the Library. Now therefore be it proclaimed by the Board of County Commissioners of Nassau County, Florida, this 24th day of March 2025, that the week of April the 6th through the 12th, 2025, is hereby declared as National Library Week. During this week, residents are encouraged to visit their library, explore its resources, and celebrate all the ways that the library draws us together as a community. It's going to be signed by A.M. Hutman, the chairman, and Denise May, the county attorney. Give them a hand. Hold that in the center. Fat guy goes on the end.
1, 2, 3.
Thank you. Would you like to say a few words on behalf of the library?
Thank you. Julie Canavino couldn't be here this afternoon. My name is Vince Gadrix. I'm the Assistant Director. And on behalf of the library, we'd like to thank you for your support. One of the things that makes the library successful is the efforts of the staff. And any one of them, no matter what location, whether it's Briceville or Callahan or Yulee or even on the island, one thing everyone knows is the importance of the services the library provides, whether it's books, ebooks, meeting room space. I've seen some people in this room that use the meeting room at the library. And that would not be possible without the county staff and in particular the county commission. So we thank the commission for its continued support because none of it would be possible without you. So thank you.
Thank you, sir.
And I'd just like to say I attended 2 of the book sales, and if you missed it, you missed a great one. And so we appreciate the hard work put on by you all. And like I said, I'd invite you to please entertain membership with Friends of the Library. If you don't belong to them, that's another group, a great organization to belong to. And if you like to read, you can go get you a whole bag of books. Depending on where you go, I think I walked out of there with $50, $60, $10, I think, was it $20 for the bag, wasn't it? Or $20 for the bag. And I know for a hardback book, you know, most places are $20 to $30 for a hardback book probably, and $15 and up for some of the other books. So, you know, it's a real nice program that you guys put on, and I just want to thank you for it. Thank you.
Tab C, approve a proclamation of the Board of County Commissioners, Nassau County, Florida, proclaiming April 2025 as Sexual Assault Awareness Month. I'll entertain a motion on tab C.
So moved.
A motion from Commissioner McCullough and a second from Commissioner Martin. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That passes 5-0. Commissioner McCullough, if you would please present the proclamation.
Do you have a group?
I do. Ms. Laurie and, yep.
This is a proclamation of the Board of County Commissioners of Nassau County, Florida, proclaiming Sexual Assault Awareness Month for April 2025. Whereas Sexual Assault Awareness Month uplifts year-round efforts that call attention to the prevalence of sexual violence and its widespread impacts, while promoting responses that lead to positive cultural change. And whereas 1 in 3 women and 1 in 4 men have experienced sexual violence involving physical contact during their lifetime. And whereas rape, sexual assault, and sexual harassment harm our community, and statistics show that every 68 seconds, an American is sexually assaulted. And whereas sexual abuse, assault, and harassment affect individuals of every background. And whereas the goal of this month is to raise public awareness about sexual violence, to provide education on individual and societal impacts, and encourage community-level responses to sexual violence. And whereas the theme of this year's Sexual Assault Awareness Month campaign in Nassau County is Together We Act, United We Change. The theme's focus highlights the power of working together to create safer, more respectful environments for all. And whereas central to the 2025 campaign is the importance of amplifying the voices of survivors, hearing and acknowledging their experiences. Now therefore, be it proclaimed that the Board of County Commissioners of Nassau County, Florida, on this 24th day of March, 2025, hereby designate April 2025 as Sexual Assault Awareness Month. And we join advocates and community members in raising awareness about sexual assault and working to build a future free from sexual violence. And this is certified by Mr. A.M. Hutman, our chairman, and attested to by Ms. Denise C. May with the Board of County Commissioners.
Hi, just quickly, I'm Lori Armstrong. I'm the sexual assault victim advocate for Nassau County. I'd also like to introduce Olivia Maynard. The WCJ has recognized the growth here in Nassau County, and we've recently added an additional sexual assault victim advocate. So I'm sure the county is happy for that. I know I've got a lot of great help, so I'm very happy about that. I had this whole thing I was going to say, but it was all said in the proclamation. But I would like to introduce Lisa Rozier from Micah's Place, Renee Lewin from the State Attorney's Office, and Madrina Addison from Nassau County Sheriff's. And that's what it's all about. It's all of us coming together as a community. I work great with these ladies. When something arises, there's not a community member in Nassau County that doesn't help. So thank you for that. Thank you for having us. And I'd like to quick introduce Mallory Warner, who is the Rape Recovery Director at WCJ. Thank you.
Good evening. Thank you to the Board of County Commissioners for every single year inviting us out here and making it a priority to proclaim April as Sexual Assault Awareness Month. As Lori said, this year's campaign theme is Together We Act, United We Change. And as a certified rape crisis center here in Nassau, we know that we cannot do this work without everyone that's in this room and beyond. WCJ and our partners in Nassau County know that education and empowering our community to be part of the solution are the first steps in ending sexual violence. The campaign works to shift the ways our community understands, talks about, and responds to sexual violence. We can challenge harmful misconceptions and foster safer communities by learning and acting together. This campaign also seeks to unite us in uplifting the voices of survivors to build a strong movement. We are aiming to develop that movement where all generations feel included and encouraged to participate and shape a better future. We'd also like to take this opportunity to tell survivors and their loved ones that here at WCJ, we believe you and we support you. We know that this work, we want to get to the point where we essentially are working ourselves out of the job, right? And that is through having around-the-clock support through our 24-hour rape crisis line, as well as all those follow-up services, support groups, free mental health counseling, helping navigating and accompanying survivors to law enforcement proceedings. All of that and so much more is done by our advocates in Nassau County, as well as our other service providers in Baker and Duval. But we know that all of this is able to be done because of community partners like those ladies behind me, as well as those who are outside this room. So again, just thank you so much for giving us the opportunity, giving us the time. We really do appreciate your support. It means a lot to us. Thank you.
Tab D, approve a proclamation of the Board of County Commissioners of Nassau County, Florida, proclaiming March 2025 as National Athletic Training Month.
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Gray.
motion to approve tab D.
Second that
A
motion.
motion from Commissioner Gray, second from Commissioner McCullough. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 5-0. Mr. Gray, if you would please present the proclamation.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. Is there anyone in the audience here to accept the proclamation? Please come up. Thank you all for coming.
Thank you.
Commissioner Gray. Nice to meet you. So today we have a proclamation of the Board of County Commissioners of Nassau County, Florida, designating March 2025 as a National Athletic Training Month. Whereas the Athletic Trainers Association of Florida was founded in 1983 as an organization committed to the education of its members and the enhancement of the profession of athletic training, creating better health care for the population it serves. And whereas athletic trainers from professional, collegiate, and high school teams, industries, physician's office, rehabilitation clinics, and every branch of the United States military work together to promote and practice the profession of athletic training within Nassau County and the state of Florida. And whereas athletic trainers have a long history of providing quality health care for athletes and persons engaged in regular physical activity, and whereas athletic trainers are highly skilled healthcare professionals who specialize in immediate, acute, and emergency care, examinations, assessments, and diagnosis, injury prevention, risk management, therapeutic intervention, and rehabilitation of injury and illness. And whereas the National Athletic Trainers Association represents and supports more than 45,000 members of the athletic training profession, including more than 3,000 athletic trainers here in the state of Florida. And whereas leading organizations concerned with athletic training and health care have united as a common commitment to raise public awareness of the importance of the profession of athletic training and the role of the athletic trainers in provision of quality health care services, and to make sure their community's needs are being met. Whereas it is the desire of the Athletic Trainers Association of Florida to promote improved health care for all athletes and all those who engage in physical activity. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed that the Board of County Commissioners of Nassau County, Florida, on this 24th day of March 2025, hereby proclaims March 2025 as National Athletic Training Month and encourages all residents in Nassau County to recognize athletic trainers for their honorable work in keeping the community healthy. And this proclamation is signed by our Board of County Commissioners Chairman, Mr. A.M. Hupman, and it's attested to his signature by our county attorney, Ms. Denise C. May.
No, we're good. Yeah, thank you all. We're not a talkative crew, but we really do appreciate the recognition. It is a tough job to do, but we are happy to do it and to serve the high schools in Nassau County.
Okay, yeah, we appreciate it.
Thank you.
I was going to catch Lexi before she left. I can only attest to her services at our school, and I'm telling you, it doesn't matter every volleyball, soccer, football. It's not, I think people think you're just at games, but it's every practice. It's morning, night, I think she gets as many calls to her room as the nurse does half the time, like students and athletes. So as a parent and as a teacher who works with you, thank you so much for your commitment to Nassau County.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, Commissioner. Presentations, tab E, Purvis and Gray Company LLP regarding fiscal year 2024 audit presentation. Good evening, sir.
Hey, good evening. Good to see you all again. My name is Ron Whitesides. I'm a partner with Purvis Gray and Company, and I'm in charge of the county's outside independent audit. So you get one of those every year, and this is the culmination of that process. We started back in the summer. We have a team of auditors that visits each of the constitutional officers as well as the Board of County Commissioners. So we probably have close to 2,000 man-hours that goes into this audit each year. So quite a bit of examination. And this is the end product of it, this book. I'm not going to go through a whole lot of it. I'm going to hit some of the highlights. I had the opportunity to meet with most of you individually, so we've already kind of done the deep dive, and so this will be brief. We've issued what's called an unmodified opinion. That's what you want from your auditors. That's the highest form of assurance the audit firm can give you. It means that these financial statements are fairly presented in accordance with the appropriate accounting policies for local governments. In this report are various letters that we issue in accordance with government auditing standards as well as what is called the single audit. The single audit is a deep dive. We looked at 6 of your larger grant agreements that you got from either the federal or state government. It's a lot of compliance analysis. In addition to that, just as part of the regular audit, we do a lot of internal control analysis so that you can be assured that the financial information that you're getting from your management teams is accurate and complete, and citizens can be assured that information is complete and accurate. As a result of that 2,000 hours of testing and the visiting all the officers, we only have one control issue recommendation to report to you. We had one of those grants that I mentioned that we did the deep dive on, that there was a timing issue on when some of the costs were incurred. The grant required that they be incurred prior to your fiscal year end. They weren't all incurred until after the fiscal year end. So technically, under the accounting rules, that's an issue for that grant. The good news is that you've worked with the grantor, and so when we're talking about $45,000 of costs here, not an enormous sum of money. But you've worked with the grantor, and those costs have been allowed, so there's no financial damage to the county as a result of it. So I would say that on whole, the audit went very well. The management team at the clerk's office, the Board of County Commissioners, and the other constitutional officers all have to get prepared for our visits. We couldn't be delivering this less than 6 months after your year end if they didn't do all the heavy lifting before we got here to get ready for the audit. So I commend your group. They're doing a fantastic job. We've worked with you for a number of years on this audit, and I can confidently say that they have gotten better every one of those years. So you have a very effective, well-working management team. I wish I could give a report like this that's short and sweet to every client. Some of them aren't this way. As a matter of fact, we've had some here a long time ago that we talk about lots of issues and findings. And so I would just, again, with that sort of historical perspective, say that there's been just an enormous amount of progress made over the years. So the county and the citizens should be proud of the work that's done here. Again, we met individually to talk about the details of the report. If there are any questions that you have for me, I'm happy to address them. Otherwise, that's my presentation.
Any questions from the commission? No. Mr. Whitesides, thank you very much. Another good year for Nassau County, and we encourage the public to spend a few minutes and take a look at what an audit looks like. It's a very thorough process, so thanks for the professional work.
All right,
Appreciate
very
it
good.
very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. That is clappable. Consent items. If any board member wishes to move a consent item to new business, please do so now. I don't have any speaker cards for consent items, so.
Mr. Chairman?
Yeah, Mr.
Make a
Gray.
motion to approve the consent items.
Second that motion.
Motion from Commissioner Gray, second from Commissioner McCullough. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Passes 5-0.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we adjourn as the American I'm sorry. I recommend we adjourn as the Board of County Commissioners and convene as the American Beach Water and Sewer District.
Second.
A motion from Commissioner Martin, second from Commissioner Farmer to adjourn as the BOCC and convene as the American Beach Water and Sewer District. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That passes 5-0. Item J, approve and authorize the chairman to sign CM 3139-A2 LPA 0237 with the Florida Department of Environmental Protection to extend the date of expiration and revise the grant work, special audit requirements, and progress report form for the American Beach Well and Septic Tank Phase-Out Project. Mr. Ironman?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As you mentioned, this is a cleanup item. As we get towards the end of the American Beach project, there are a couple of areas that we're cleaning up the grants, really in this case to assure that we can utilize as much of the funds out of that grant as possible within this project. And so to Mr. Whiteside's presentation, this is a critical area where we kind of look at all of our grants, make sure they're cleaned up and moving forward. And so this is a big step forward as well. So pretty simple in this one. It modifies the end date, allows us to utilize the funds, and hopefully we'll be closing this out shortly with the project.
Thank you, Mr. Ironman. Any questions? Mr. Gray?
No, sir, no question. Just, Mr. Chairman, make a motion to approve tab J.
See, were there any other questions
I
or
need
comments?
to correct that we are on tab K, correct?
Jay.
I have, by my agenda,
I have
tab
J.
My agenda just says J.
Madam Clerk, can you clarify, because I see two different things? I have it here as K, I have it here as K, they have it as J.
Yeah, I have it as tab K also, so I'm not sure about the agenda.
Okay, so as long as
Okay.
we're going to continue to decab, something might have been added to the agenda at the top that reworded or re-lettered things. I just want to be clear that we are speaking to,
Yep, let's clarify that. So the paper copy that the commissioners have in front of them, which is up
I
here,
apologize, these may have been printed before something was
That's
added
it.
to the agenda.
That's understandable. So we'll make the adjustment here from, just to be clear, though, let me go back on the consent agenda and clarify that the consent agenda was as tab F, G, H, I, and J.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Okay, that clears that.
Thank you,
We'll
sir.
start with tab K. Mr. Gray, would you like to modify your
Yes.
motion?
Motion to approve tab K, and I can read it if the county attorney would like.
I think you've read it.
I'd already read it,
And
yeah.
we're very
We're just going to make
proficient
that
with
amendment. All right.
Okay.
I have a motion from Commissioner Gray,
Second.
second from Commissioner Martin. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That passes 5-0. Madam Clerk. Tab L. Approve and authorize the chairman to sign contract CM 3171-CO11 with U.S. Water Services Corporation for the additional costs related to the increase in the depth of Crushcrete in the amount of $103,693. Mr. Ironman.
Correct, and thank you, Mr. Chairman. As we're working on the final steps for American Beach Water and Sewer Project, the county will be coming in afterwards and paving some of the additional roadways that weren't part of the initial project. In these other areas, there was additional concrete or crushcrete required, and so you'll see that it's a change order from the 1-inch to the 3-inch to make sure that we have a proper sub-base, so when we come in and pave the additional areas.
Okay, any questions from Mr. Ironman? Comments? I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to approve.
Motion from Commissioner Farmer,
Second.
second from Commissioner Martin. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That passes 5-0.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we adjourn as the American Beach Water and Sewer District and convene as the Board of County Commissioners.
A motion from Commissioner Martin.
Second.
Second from Commissioner Farmer. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? 5-0. We are reconvened as the Board of County Commissioners. New business. Any member of the public may address any items under new business at this time. The time limit is 3 minutes. Is there anyone who wishes to address items under new business? Mr. Smith, if I may, I have your tab, which is, I made it back now tab O again.
Yes, sir.
Would you like to wait until we hear tab O, or would you like to speak now?
I will wait.
Okay, sir, I'll call you when we reach tab O. Yes, sir. Mr. Farmer?
I just wanted to make sure you saw where the mistake was. I found the error, and on the printed copy, Heather, tab H, which should be approve and authorize the chairman to sign a solid waste haulers permit application, was missed inadvertently, and so that threw everything else off.
Thank you, Mr. Farmer.
You're welcome.
All right, we'll go into legislative hearings. Correction.
I think you-
Correction,
Tab
I'm
M.
sorry, I'm going to back up to tab M, which was L. Approve Nassau County to apply for Florida Department of Emergency Management Hurricane Loss Mitigation Program grant. Mr. Ironman.
Yes, thank you. So with the Thomas Creek project, this is one area that we've been pursuing different grants. The Stormwater Division is requesting to submit an application for this Hurricane Loss Mitigation Program grant. The nice thing, and as Commissioner Martin always asks, what is our match? In this case,
None.
there's a 0% match, so it's $250,000 towards the project without a match requirement.
Okay, any other commissioner discussion? Questions? All right, I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion for Commissioner Gray, second by Commissioner McCullough. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None? That passes 5-0. Legislative hearings.
Thank you, sir.
Madam Attorney.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. As stated, we are in the legislative hearings. This is for tab N. And procedures are in place to give all who wish to speak for or against the item an opportunity to do so. Those wishing to speak in favor of or against the item being considered will have 3 minutes to address the board. All statements should be addressed to the board and address only the item under consideration. Please do not engage in personal attacks on other speakers, staff, or board members. Speakers must begin by stating their name and address for the record. Speakers shall not repeat or restate the same information as previous speakers. Sharing or transferring of time is not allowed. The clerk will control the time allocated. Again, that is 3 minutes. Any speaker that has documents as part of their presentation will present them to the deputy clerk. They do become a part of the permanent record. This meeting is being recorded, so please, no applause or outburst or talking. It does distort our recording. The board will then close the public hearing and discuss the item under consideration and may ask questions of speakers or staff. They will then deliberate and vote on the item. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Madam Attorney. I will open the floor for public discussion on tab N. I have no speaker cards on tab N. Is anyone here to speak on tab N? Okay, that's O. Are you Ms. Carey? Yes. Yeah, that's tab O. So we're one item ahead. Yes, ma'am. We just corrected that change if you didn't hear us. You're here to speak on the quasi judicial hearing for R 24005. That's the next item.
Yes, and I will just restate if it helps. Tab N is to consider CPA 24-003, an ordinance of the Board of County Commissioners of Nassau County, Florida, amending the 2030 Nassau County Comprehensive Plan, providing for the reclassification of 55.46 acres of real property located on the south side of Clyde Higginbotham Road, north of Duval County line, from medium-density residential MDR to Transect 2.5, and the reclassification of 5.19 acres of real property located on the south side of Clyde Higginbotham Road, north of the Duval County line, from medium-density MDR to Transect 1, providing for findings, providing for severability, and providing an effective date.
Thank you, Madam Attorney.
That is tab N, and that's what's before you.
Correct. Okay. Staff presentation? Good evening, Elizabeth.
Good evening, Commissioners. Let's see if I could. I can get this to come up. Oops, sorry, going too fast. Good evening, Elizabeth Back, Planning Director for the Planning Department. What you have before you tonight is consideration for a future land use map amendment. This is for approximately 60.65 acres, going from medium-density residential, underlying land use, or MDR, to Transect 1, or T1, for 5.19 acres, and Transect 2.5, or T2.5, for 55.46 acres. The owner and applicant are a WRC Cook Yulee LLC. The agent is Greg Matavina, and this is in Commission District 3. To orient you here, we have this parcel of land. It is located on the south side of Clyde Higginbotham Road, between the CSX Railroad, which runs north and south over here, and Lumber Creek. So to orient you, this is the entire outline of the William Burgess District Overlay. South, you can see State Road 200 here, and that overlay, and then I-95 on the west. And then this parcel of land here outlined in red. So as you'll see on the left-hand graphic, we have again the parcel of land showing that the current zoning is open rural, or OR. They are seeking through a companion rezoning application to move from OR to T1 and T2.5. On the right-hand side graphic here, as you will see, you have this MDR in this light beige, kind of yellowish color, from medium-density residential, or MDR, to T1 and T2.5. For the William Burgess District, underlying categories, we moved both the zoning and the land use, but tonight is just the comp plan amendment under consideration, and it is just for transmittal tonight. So what we have when the William Burgess overlay was adopted, there was a companion transect map, and this shows for this parcel that it was envisioned to have both the T2.5 in the yellow color and the T1, it's a little bit hard to see down here on the southern boundary of the parcel, in the green, which is a natural area. The T2.5 is considered a rural transitional zone. So in looking at consistency with the comprehensive plan, we're looking at future land use policy FL.01.04. And you can look at the staff report that you have for the full evaluation of the criteria, but I've just highlighted a couple items here for your consideration and review. The property is located, as was mentioned, in the William Burgess Overlay District, is currently undeveloped and has been utilized for pasture land. Due to the environmental characteristics and the adjacent land use pattern of the property, including its adjacency to a creek and wetland system, it was assigned during that process of adoption of the William Burgess overlay to a T1 and T2.5, and that is exactly what the applicant is requesting here. It would be consistent with the overlay's land use assignment that was envisioned. In terms of the consideration for protecting and conserving natural resources, wetlands have been identified in the environmental assessment of the site, and when the property goes through site plan review, required buffers would be maintained in accordance with our land development code. T1 is a transect that seeks to protect the natural environment for the subject property. The western edge of the property does contain a bluff adjacent to Lumber Creek and the tidal marsh. Due to that, these transects were selected in recognition of that ecological characteristic for this location. Gopher tortoise burrows. The presence of gopher tortoise burrows was identified in the environmental report, and so it should be noted that ground disturbing activities within 25 feet of tortoise burrows do require a gopher tortoise relocation permit from FWC. In terms of looking at land use patterns and timing, as was mentioned, it's within the overlay district, and there are public services such as the courthouse, sheriff's office, emergency operations, and animal control in the nearby vicinity. There are also private services, including retail, grocery stores, emergency and non-emergency medical care. Those are developing along State Road 200 and also within the Wildlight development. Approximately 3 miles away, a fire station is planned to be located approximately 2 miles away from the property on Still Quarters Road. Looking at item C, I'm looking at population growth and development trends in terms of warranting an amendment. Looking at the growth trends report, Nassau would be noted to be the 7th fastest growing county in the state of Florida by percentage, with a projected population expansion of 44.6%, resulting in over 138,500 people calling Nassau home by 2035. So population growth, development trends were analyzed when this overlay district was created, and in which case the hybrid form-based code transect assignments, as shown in Figure 5 of the staff report. In terms of looking at item F, We can say that within the overlay district, it was created as one item to encourage compact development resulting in vibrant and walkable communities. Now, this subject property is located at the edge of the overlay district and was assigned context-sensitive and less dense transects in keeping with those rural characteristics and location of the site. So in conclusion, staff does find the requested amendment to be consistent with the comprehensive plan for policies FL 0104A through G. The adopted criteria for approval of a flume amendment is met, and based on the findings, staff is recommending approval of application CPA 24-003. However, as a reminder, this hearing tonight is to consider transmittal of this application. Due to the fact that it is over 50 acres, it's considered a large-scale comprehensive plan map amendment and does require transmittal to the state and agencies for review. But we'll come back to you at a later date for consideration of adoption and the companion rezoning as well. I'm available for any questions.
Any questions for Ms. Beck? Okay. Thank you, Ms. Beck. Is there any applicant presentation? Good evening, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Greg Mattavino, 12443 San Jose Boulevard, Jacksonville, 32223. I waive my presentation and rely on staff's presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
I'm available for questions.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Enamia. I don't have any speaker cards for tab N, so. Board questions for staff or members? Applicant?
None, sir.
Seeing none, okay. Going to close the floor to public discussion. Any board deliberation on this item? Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Gray.
based upon the record, evidence, and testimony received, I find that there is competent and substantial evidence pursuant to policy FL.01.02I and policy FL.01.04A through G of the Nassau County Comprehensive Plan, and therefore, my motion is to approve CPA 24-003 for transmittal to state agencies.
Second that motion, Mr. Gray.
A motion from Commissioner Gray and a second by Commissioner McCullough. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? None? That passes 5-0, Madam Clerk. Tab O is a quasi-judicial public hearing. Madam Attorney.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. As stated, this is a quasi-judicial hearing. This is to consider tab O, consider R24-005, the rezoning of a portion of approximately 6.59 acres located on the east side of First Coast Highway between Springtide Lane and Stewart Avenue from residential single-family 2, RS2, and commercial general, CG, to residential general, RG1, and commercial general, CG. Application filed by Norman Showers Trust, MPS Properties LLC, and Leslie Pardue Covage as owners, Janice K. Fleet as agent. Quasi-judicial hearing by state and case law is different than a regular hearing. Quasi-judicial hearings are less formal than a court hearing, but similar in their procedures and evidence matters. Applicants have the burden of demonstrating through competent, substantial evidence that his or her application is consistent with the following requirements. For tab O, Nassau County Comprehensive Plan Policies, FL.01.02B, FL.08.04, FL.08.06A through G, ROS.01.06, and ROS.01.09, and Section 12A through N of the rezoning application, and Sections 502C and D of the Land Development Code. Those opposed must also demonstrate with competent and substantial evidence that the application does not meet those requirements. General objections without evidence does not constitute competent and substantial evidence. The applicant is entitled to be represented by counsel. If any applicant desires a continuance to obtain counsel, they must seek the board's permission to do so. It is at your discretion as to grant or deny. Does the applicant wish a continuance for counsel? I see no ask. The hearing procedures will be as follows. Staff will be sworn in to describe the applicant's request. They will have 10 minutes. The applicant may waive their presentation and rely on staff comments. If the applicant waives their presentation, they retain the right to rebut any testimony against their application. Does the applicant wish to waive their application and rely upon staff's comments? Seeing a head shake of no. We will move forward. The applicant or representative will then have their opportunity to present evidence for the application, and they will have 15 minutes for their presentation. Public participants for or against the application will be sworn. They will have 3 minutes each to provide testimony and present evidence to the board. Extensions of time may only be granted through the chair. Sharing or transferring of time is not allowed. Public participants presenting evidence for or against the application will address the board at the podium. Any documents or photographs will be submitted to the deputy clerk when they are testifying. They will not be returned as they do become part of the permanent record. As a quasi-judicial hearing, large numbers of individuals for or against a particular item will not be considered and is not competent substantial evidence. The applicant or their representative will have a maximum of 10 minutes for cross-exam or to provide rebuttal as to any evidence presented. Staff will have 5 minutes to provide final comments to the board. The board will then close the public hearing and discuss the application and may ask questions of applicant, staff, or witnesses for or against the application. Any motion of the board should include whether the board member finds competent, substantial evidence in the record and/or testimony received to support your decision to approve or deny the agenda item. Again, the meeting is being recorded, so please no outburst, talking, or applause, as it does distort the recording. If there are any questions in regards to these procedures, please ask them now. Seeing none?
Nope, there's one there, a hand. Did you have a question, sir?
No, he's just pointing.
Oh, I'm sorry, okay. All right, got it. Thank you, Madam Attorney.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Ex parte disclosures to tab O. Ex parte disclosures include emails, letters, site visits, any other form of communication. And the disclosures should include who and the substance of the communication. Commissioner McCullough.
I did receive emails pertaining to this, and they are recorded on my county device, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Gray.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. I received numerous emails, all communications on my county device.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Farmer.
Same. Numerous emails preserved on the county device.
Okay, and Commissioner Martin.
I received several emails, and they're all captured on my county device.
Okay, and mine as well. I captured, all emails are captured on my county device. I want to amend that with one thing. I did get one phone call from, I don't recall the last name, to ask about this process, if it was, coming forward today. And I acknowledge that, and that is also captured on my county device.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. All right. Madam Clerk, if you could please identify the items being placed in the record on tab O.
This is for tab O, application R24-005, agenda summary sheet, 2 pages, staff report, 8 pages, supplemental staff report, 3 pages, exhibit A, agent authorization, 1 page, staff presentation, 19 pages, draft ordinance, 5 pages, application for rezoning, 43 pages, public school concurrency agreement, 16 pages, planning and zoning board motion, 1 page, and agent's presentation, 7 pages.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. I'll accept the motion.
I move to accept the documents into the record.
Motion from Commissioner Martin, second by Commissioner Farmer. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? 5-0. We'll accept those documents. We'll open the public hearing for tab O. Staff presentation, 10 minutes. Good evening, Josh.
Good evening.
I do. It's Josh Macbeth, Strategic Advancement, working in an assistant capacity to the planning department, to which I held a previous position. Let's see.
Excuse me.
All right, so this is, thank you, Honorable Chairman, Honorable Commissioners. So this is R24-005. Let's consider rezoning for a portion of approximately 6.59 acres from residential single-family 2 and commercial general CG to residential general 1 RG1 and CG. So the commercial general portion doesn't change. It's looking at the 5.57 acres of RS2, and that's being requested to change from RS2 to RG1. Applicant owners, Norman Showers Trust, MPS Properties LLC, Leslie Purdue Cubbage, agent Janice K. Fleet, and this is in Commission District 2. So immediately, we want to address the contents of that supplemental staff report. So you'll notice that in our title, in the background, we still maintain MPS Properties. This is important that we maintain the original record, and we keep these additional supplementals as separate and distinct, so that if anybody had to go back and review this and find that through MPS, they can still find this document. But what happened back on the 24th, we had a public hearing where we had advertised, and we realized that the owner had changed. So the parcel 142N280000060000 that originally belonged to MPS Properties was sold to Esquire Trustee Service LLC. This happened on January 31st, 2025. And then, of course, that has to travel through, various institutions, from being recorded at the clerk to being updated at the property appraiser. And so, inter-quality control period between the time when we submit these things, which is almost 3-4 weeks in advance, we noticed that the owner had changed. So it wasn't something that we could bring before you because we needed the permission of that new owner to continue through the rezoning process. So the supplemental staff report indicates, when the deed was recorded, who this new owner is, as well as the permission and authorization for Mr. Romanella to authorize Ms. Janice K. Fleet to continue this process and act as the agent. So a copy of that authorization and this report are provided. But otherwise, we're just going to continue the same presentation that we gave back at PZB. So really want to understand context. We're right here, south side of the island, First Coast Highway, between Springtides Lane. You have this Maxine Street right-of-way, and then Stewart Avenue right here to the south. So you have all these single-family homes fronting on Stewart Avenue. You have these properties right here. So that front portion's designated commercial, and then these back portions are the residential that we'd be focusing on. So when we look at the zoning, and once again, that commercial general stays the same. You'll note that this purplish color is RS2. So right now, RS2 to the north, you got RS2 to the south, and then you have RG1 right here just with also fronting on Maxine Street. So 5.57 acres of RS2 is being asked to be changed to this darker purple maroon color. In terms of your land use, nothing's proposed to change here, and you'll note that everything to the north and south is high-density residential. So what's important about that is the single-family homes to the south. You have, 0.1 acre lots. Those 0.1 acre lots, max density and high-density residential is 10 dwelling units per acre, so you can have one dwelling unit there. And that's important because this property is currently developable under RS2 standards. It's not changing the max density. The max density achievable of 5.57 acres is going to be 55 units, regardless of the zoning. So why are we looking at this zoning? What are the key differences between Article 9 and Article 12? So Article 9 is RS2, so this is the current zoning. Permitted use is single-family homes. Conditional use, duplexes, Then you have home occupations, childcare facilities, parking lots, cemeteries, schools, churches, golf courses. Comparing that to Article 12, RG1, still single-family homes permitted by right. Duplexes are not conditional, they're permitted by right. And then you're introducing two new concepts, townhomes and multifamily dwellings. Unique to this is marina clubs, beach clubs, cabanas, and similar uses. This would be for residents of the development. And then all the other conditional uses are the same, home occupation, childcare facilities, parking lots. Those are identical. So we're adding duplexes by right, townhomes, multifamily dwellings. So then we want to look at the differences in terms of parameters. So once again, Article 9, RS2, single-family home or duplex would be lot width 75 feet, lot area 8,700 square feet. You have a front, side, and rear setback. Front is 25 feet, side is 10, rear is 10. Going over to Article 12, RG1, same thing for a single-family home or duplex. That does not change. Now we're going to get into those two unique concepts, which are townhomes. You'll note lot width goes down significantly. Lot area also goes down, and then your setbacks change. Looking at multifamily, this would be more similar to those parameters with the 75-foot and the 8,700 square foot lot area, but then note that the rear and side setbacks go up. In terms of max building height, max lot coverage, those remain the same. So just looking at these numbers, townhomes are going to allow you to create more lots than what you could normally achieve in RS2. And then multifamily homes, you're not going to be able to achieve more lots. It's going to be more similar to the current parameters, and you're going to have increased setbacks to offset that new typology. In terms of comp plan, so this is focused on that land use, the high-density residential. So high-density residential, FL02B, for low, medium, and high, provides a variety of densities and housing types, including single-family detached, mobile homes, single-family attached, duplexes, and multifamily housing. In terms of high-density residential, it's minimum 3 dwelling units per acre to maximum 10 dwelling units per acre. And in terms of the land development code, there's an additional restriction for RG1 that says single-family dwellings and duplexes are limited to 5 dwelling units per acre. So that's exclusive to this new zoning district request. 5 dwelling units per acre for single-family dwellings and duplexes. And the HDR land use is compatible with RG1 and would also be compatible with RS2. In terms of FL 0804, the development allows for compact development form and higher density to occur in an area currently served by public facilities and infrastructure. The request is consistent with our comprehensive plan. Similarly, FL 0806, directing new residential and commercial development in rural and transitioning areas. So proposed rezoning access infill development to an area designated as high-density residential. Water and wastewater systems are available to the property and shall be utilized. A letter of availability of potable water and sanitary sewer service shall be provided at the time of site engineering plan review to ensure required levels of services are met. The development is near employment center opportunities, public uses, including commercial, professional offices, restaurants and churches, a shopping center, grocery store within 3/4 of a mile of the site. Development on the site will be required to follow site development plan review procedures in accordance with Section 507 of the Land Development Code, and any required improvements will be evaluated during the development review process to ensure consistency with minimum county standards. And then we have additional requirements related to our recreation. There's level of service requirements when you reach 25 dwelling units or more when you do a development. So those neighborhood park requirements would still be required of this development to have to provide those parking needs. All right, rezoning criteria. So once again, criteria A pertains back to that future land use map, back to the comprehensive plan. We note that RG1 zoning is consistent with high-density residential, single-family dwellings, duplexes, and townhouses and multiple family dwellings are compatible with HDR land use. Density shall be minimum 3 dwelling units per acre to maximum 10 dwelling units per acre. And pursuant to the Land Development Code, there's that additional restriction to RG1 that limits it to 5 dwelling units per acre. Regarding our adjacent zoning districts, proposed zoning is compatible with the current uses, densities, and intensities permitted by the adjacent surrounding zoning district. The subject properties are located adjacent to RS2 zoning districts to the north and
Chair,
south.
if I may, if you want to extend, Mr.
I'm going to grant Mr. Macbeth 5 more minutes.
Okay. Shall allow for single-family homes as permitted uses in duplexes. And then you've got RG1 zoning district directly adjacent to the subject properties to the west that are currently undeveloped. RG1 zoning is consistent with the residential homes at higher densities. In terms of area plans, you have FDMS map 8 for a future trail, Orange Avenue, just east of this property. Residential is consistent with it. Resort overlay applies to your signage requirements. This would not result in urban sprawl. It's infill development in a high-density residential growing area. In terms of public infrastructure, BOCC's approved the authorization of a public school concurrency on January 27, 2025. Applicants indicate plans to connect to water and wastewater utilities. Letter availability would be provided at the time of site engineering plans. Parks are still required. The transportation and operational improvements would be determined at the time of development review when a site engineering plan is reviewable. And as pedestrian facility improvements, including internal sidewalk systems, a pedestrian connection from the site back to First Coast Highway, and any additional service requirements are determined at the time of development review. If approved, all development shall be consistent with our code requirements, in particular, the additional restriction to RG1 and buffering requirements. In terms of neighboring lands, townhomes are unique to RG1, would allow for smaller lots. Additional lots can increase traffic impacts, and those specific traffic impacts are determined at the time of site plan review. It's not a requirement of the rezoning to provide a traffic impact analysis. In terms of adverse effects, so there are no known wetland systems or special flood hazard areas on this particular property, or areas of historical or cultural significance. Property can be developed under current RS2 standards. You have 55 single-family homes that would be allowed in 5.57 acres with the minimum lot width restrictions of 75 feet. This would limit development potential to approximately 24 units with 1,820 linear feet of frontage. If the original platted configuration is considered for Ocean Garden subdivision, Plat Book 2, page 63, then 27 detached units can be achieved, 12 platted lots, and then taking the linear remaining frontage on the non-platted lots is how you get that calculation. I've got a breakdown chart after this. In terms of RG1, so it still allows for 10 dwelling units per acre. That 55 units doesn't change. But now you're introducing townhomes and multifamily development. Single-family homes and duplexes are once again limited by 5 dwelling units per acre, which allow for 27 units. So here's kind of the breakdown. That HDR land use does not change. So you have 55 units allowed for single-family homes, duplexes, under RS2, restricted by 75-foot lot widths. So in terms of single-family homes, you can achieve 27 units. In terms of duplexes, you can achieve 54 units or 27 duplexes. Then when we compare that to RG1, once again, HDR land use, 55 units, that's the maximum allowed here. So 27 units are allowed for single-family homes and duplexes because of the additional restriction of 5 dwelling units per acre. So you can actually achieve less duplexes in RG1 because of that additional restriction. So 27 units for single-family homes, 27 duplexes, but now you can achieve 55 units in terms of townhomes and 55 units if this were to be multifamily development with those smaller lot sizes. In terms of land use and development conditions, there have been no substantial changes to the land use or development conditions relevant to this property. Pursuant to Objective FL1, county shall use the future land use map to correlate future land uses with the appropriate environmental conditions. In this case, high-density residential. This rezoning would be consistent with this. L and N apply to criterias that are in larger areas that can sustain characteristics of a mixed-use development. In terms of environmental impacts, properties not within a special flood hazard area and development shall comply with all local and state requirements. 3 seconds. Conclusion, staff finds the requested amendments consistent of FL02B, FL0804, FL0806 A through G, and ROS 0106 and ROS 0109, LDC Section 502C and D, and criterion for the rezoning application 12A through N have been met. Based on these findings, staff recommends approval of rezoning R24005, and Planning and Zoning Board recommended approval with a vote of 6-0, and staff's available for questions.
Any questions for Mr. Macbeth? Seeing none, thank you, Mr. Macbeth. Applicant presentation? Good evening, ma'am.
Good evening. Do you swear affirm testimony you give this knowledge, the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? I do. If you could please state your name and address for the record.
Okay. Janice Fleet, 11557 Hidden Harbor Way, Jacksonville, Florida.
Yes, ma'am, thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate you. Good evening to commissioners, and thank you for allowing me to speak. I just want to a little bit go over myself a little bit so I can show that I'm providing competent, substantial evidence. I am an AICP planner, American Institute Certified Planner, just as Mr. Macbeth and as Ms. Beck is. I have over 40 years of planning in the public and private sectors. Spent a lot of time doing things in Nassau County, including planning consultant for, having been the planning consultant for the town of Callahan, working on their comprehensive plan, land development regulations, as well as the town of Hilliard. And actually, the original comprehensive plan, I'm showing my age, for Nassau County, I helped work on it, so at Fernandine Beach. So I've been doing this for a while, and I appreciate you letting me come before you. Let's see. What did I go back? Okay. So first of all, I want to thank staff for working with it and his presentation. I don't want to repeat things, but I want to make sure that you know that I am consistent with his recommendations, that the project is consistent with the comp plan and all your criteria for rezoning. So I think that's important. So as was stated, there's the parcels that are being rezoned. There's 3 parcels, and we have the additional commercial parcel, but the primarily one of consequence of that's being rezoned is the 3 parcels from RG1 from RS2 to RG1. And so that's where, just to get an idea where they're located off the First Coast Highway. And they're both on Maxine Street, which will be improved to county standards through this development process. As was mentioned, the existing future land use map for the area is HDR, high density residential, which allows a density of 3 to 10 units per acre. And we're not doing any flume amendment. We're consistent with your future land use map. So this RG1 is allowed and for this parcels. And staff has, as I stated previously, staff has said that it is consistent with the comp plan. The zoning designation is a combination in the area of RG1 in the area. The west side of Regina is RG1, and you have some north of the property. The property along Stewart Avenue is with non-conforming lots of record. It is not RS1. It's really most of the lots are 50 by 100, which allows about 9 units per acre. So even though these lots in here are, RS1, the density is higher than what would be allowed currently. They're just existing lots of record. So I feel that the rezoning is consistent with the area, were requested. As I said, not to repeat ourselves, unless you want me to, it is consistent with the comp plan and the criteria, as was mentioned by the staff, of the land use policies FL .0102B and FL .0804, FL 0806A through G, and RS .0106 and ROS .0109, as well as the Land Development Code that, as per staff, with LDC Section 5.02C and D have been met, and the criteria for rezoning approval 12A through N, that's as staff recommend approval. As you know, the rezoning is our first step in the development process. It would have to go through all the required development reviews through the county, and we would meet everything that needs to be required. We started this process back in September. We were held up a little bit through the school concurrency. They had some changes in their consultant, but we've worked through that, and we've approved the mitigation agreement through the county and with yourself. As it showed, we're not really increasing the density that much of the number of units. We're proposing 44 townhouse units, and that's really required because that's what our mitigation is. So that's all we told the school board. That's what you signed off in your school mitigation agreement. So even though we could have up to 54 duplex units with a conditional use in our current zoning, or even in 55 units for if we requested the RG1, that's not what we're proposing. We're only proposed 44 because of trees, but for this retention, because of the recreation requirements, all that is basically limiting us, which we accept that, and we understand that, and that's what we included in our school mitigation agreement, which is really less than your current zoning. Issues that will be addressed moving forward, as Mr. Macbeth said, that we aren't required, since it is not a land use amendment, to go over traffic analysis, but just for DOT's website, the current average daily traffic is around 12,500, First Coast Highway, and the capacity is 19,600, so there's trips available. Based on, if there were no rezonings, the current trips would be generated at 255 trips a day, because single-family dwelling units generate 9.3 trips per day, while in the RG zoning, which for the townhouses that we're proposing, would be 316 trips, and that's a difference about 61 trips per day. Both that has the capacity of your current, the roadway capacity. And this would be addressed, if there is any issues, that would be addressed during development review, and we understand that, but just for information. As I said, development will need to comply with all the LDC and all applicable federal, state, regional, local requirements, including protection of the tree canopy. We know we'll have to do tree mitigations plan, all drainage and stormwater management, stormwater ponds for the development, protecting the wetlands on the site or any that are there, and providing a neighborhood park. And then we've also talked about a connection to the trail that's to the east of the property, the existing county trail, to connect that to it, so that it would allow a public trail to be consistent that would, between this property and the county's existing property. As I said, Maxine Street would be paved to county standards, and it was recommended for approval from the staff and both the Planning and Zoning Board. And I feel that it's a request that's consistent with your comp plan, and I feel I have given you competent, substantial evidence to show that it is, as well as staff has, that this rezoning is appropriate for this parcels. And I'm available for any questions.
Thank you, ma'am. Any questions? See none, thank you.
Thank you.
Public comments. I'm just going to call these names in the order in which I received these cards for public comment. Each speaker will have 3 minutes. Mr. Bob Smith.
Do you swear or affirm testimony given this matter is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? If you please state your name and address.
Good afternoon. My name is Bob Smith, Robert legal. I live on 1518 Stewart Avenue. And I want to thank the commissioners for your valuable time and letting me speak. Commissioner John.
I just recognized you.
Yes, sir.
How are you?
Can we
Good to
pause
see you.
that for a second?
Yep, don't take his
Okay,
time.
all right, yeah, let's not use time.
All right, the rezoning on this, first of all, did y'all receive my email? I mean, it's in the record. It should have been already put in there for y'all to read it.
Yeah, just for clarification, emails aren't part of the record, per se, evidentiary record, but we do receive them, and then they're forwarded to the planning department as part of the process.
Okay, well.
Not part of the application, but,
Yes, sir.
okay.
There are several complications on Stewart Avenue that have been continuing to get worse. And by the way, I am speaking for the majority of the residents. I have Rochelle Weber, and I have Bob Whalen, and I have one of the namesakes, one of the elders, Albert Stewart here. And we all get together and we speak a lot of things. Rezoning this area is going to increase the population, increase the traffic, irregardless of what has been said here. And those areas are literally on top of Stewart Avenue. That Stewart Avenue is 25 foot in our front yard. So our property goes on the north side of Stewart Avenue by more than 25 feet. So all of this development is going to encroach on our property. In addition to it, they're saying that they're going to save the canopy. They already have 2 stock work orders out there because of them cutting down trees that were not supposed to be cut down. And there's also a historic, from my research, historic areas on the north side of Stewart Avenue from the plantation timeframe. Those need to be considered as well. We also have wildlife. We have a family of deer, and there's several turtles that walk around in those areas because it's still wooded up, wooded for them to have a home. They mostly stay within the east side of Stewart Avenue and in the north side where the wooded area is. So any of that major development with more traffic, more people, all of that's going to hinder us as owners. And it's going to create a situation that it's already getting out of control. This used to be a private road. It was a blue sign, and somehow it turned into a green sign. Now the county is doing that. We never got any information on it being changed from private road to a county road. So that's already taken from us as well. After Hurricane Irma, they put the slag down. It's a single lane road. It used to be sand, then after Hurricane Irma, county put the slag down, and it made the road worse. Now we're getting potholes all the time. We're having to call out the county to regrade it on a constant basis. So I'm concerned that you're going to take our road or our property for the road, and that's going to increase the amount of people and cars.
Okay.
And that's all I have.
Thank you, Mr. Smith.
Yes, sir.
Ms. Sandy Carey?
Do you swear or affirm testimony you give in this matter is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
You can state your name and address for the record.
Sandy Carey, 1255 Forest Drive. I hope you all got my email about all the inconsistencies and errors in the application, which I think is very important to note. Before I go back over those, I just want to make a few mentions about the increased traffic, even though that will be taken up later. It is unbearable right now on First Coast. It is just unbearable. And adding this many vehicles to that road is going to be a nightmare, not to mention all the accidents and things that will come. This application has changed hands 2 times. I understand that's what caused it to be delayed because the county planning staff was not notified by the applicant. That's very alarming. That's a pretty important thing. They should not have to wait for the county appraiser's office to let them know that. So that pushed the application over to March. As I stated back in the December 2024 P&Z meeting, the MPS partner, John Swinson's signature was expired July 9, 2024. And that still really has not been corrected. There's been undue pressure to the planning staffs, basically urging them to pass the school concurrency agreement as a consent item in the February meeting, and the agreement, which was addressed to Mr. Macbeth. It says, I quote, "Josh, why can't the rezoning meeting for the BOCC be held on February 10th? The consent items are done first on the agenda. The deadline for the meeting isn't until the 17th. We submitted our application on September 3rd, over 5 months ago. Let me know what I need to do or who I need to speak to get the rezoning on the 10th." This is unacceptable, that an applicant would put that kind of pressure on your zoning staff, your planning staff, and it's just procedurally incorrect. They've withheld information about changing ownership. Nowhere tonight have I noticed any mention of the other entity that it changed hands with, the Ocean Gardens, Amelia Ocean Gardens Amelia Land Trust. There's 2 land trusts now involved. There's a problem with the school concurrency agreement, which they didn't get that finished until the very end of January and signed until February. And the school actually found that it was deficient. So I quote, I will read that, "Whereas the school district has determined that based on the current adopted level of school standards, there is insufficient elementary and high school capacity within the applicable concurrency service area and any contiguous concurrency service areas, including any anticipated new school capacity that will be available in the first 3 years of the current school district plan. As a result of that, the applicant was given an impact fee of over $10,000 per unit, which came to almost $500,000. So there's so many things wrong with this application procedurally. They didn't even sign the school concurrence agreement with the proper, they just left it with MPS Properties, when in fact we know there's 2 new trusts involved, the Ocean Gardens Amelia Land Trust and the Esquire. So I just think it's wrong that they withheld this information. They've been cited for code enforcement violations, and unfortunately, that has not been put on the calendar until after this rezoning, which again is wrong, because that's part of the substantial evidence that needs to be heard.
Okay, thank you, Mrs. Carey.
Thank you.
Margaret Kirkland.
Do you swear or affirm testimony in the Senate the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? I do. Please state your name and address for the record.
Margaret Kirkland, 1377 Plantation Point Drive. I'm speaking on behalf of Conserve Nassau. As you know, we've had considerable development in this area and very dense development over the last decade. There is the strip along the river, which has recently been approved for another new building, even though they are, when we had the first vulnerability study, they were complaining about having sea level rise come up behind their buildings. So we've got that, and then on the other side of the street, we've got Enclave 1, Enclave 2, and Summerwoods. And all of that's very dense. One of the things that our engineers have learned in looking at the flooding from one end of the island to the other is that the flooding tends to occur when you have a high level of impervious surface combined with the tree removal that goes with that, and the result is flooding. And we've had some flooding on the south side of Enclave 1 at the path that goes to the beach. We've had at the planning and zoning hearing, we had several people from the neighborhood complain about flooding on Ian and Stewart, and so that is in the record. So frankly, I think it is unfortunate that we are not waiting to learn enough and to implement our vulnerability study and the data from that into our comprehensive plan and into our LDC before we move ahead with further development, any further development, but particularly such dense development. I submit that the probability of flooding in this area is quite high because of what we've already seen. As you may know from other contexts, we're concerned about density in development. It's fine in some parts of the country, but I don't think it's appropriate for a coastal area. We've seen no evidence to that effect, yet we've seen lots of flooding in our county that would indicate that this is not the best place for that. So density is definitely an issue here. And as we know, with flooding come expenses for the county. So we are highly concerned about that. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Kirkland. Forgive me if I pronounce this wrong, Tiana Christner? Or Tanya? I'm sorry, I can't quite tell by the way it's written, I'm sorry.
I do. If you could sit your name and address for the record.
Great. Good evening, Commissioners. My name is Tina Christner, and I live at 406 Beach Street. I'm here to hopefully provide competent, substantial evidence in opposition to R-24005. What I'm presenting tonight is not opinion. These are factual deficiencies in the application that conflict with the county's LDC. First, approving this request would violate sections 5.02 F and G of the LDC. These sections require rezonings to be evaluated for adverse impacts and compatibility with adjacent uses. This application includes no site plan, but it's not required to at this time. But because of that, there's no buffering strategy and no conditions of approval. This means that there's no way to evaluate or mitigate potential impacts on neighboring properties. Second, there's no stormwater analysis. It is not required at this time. However, Section 5.02M requires that the county evaluate whether rezoning would worsen drainage or flooding. The applicant nor the county that I've seen has provided no hydrology, calculations, or even basic drainage narrative. The area is already known to have drainage challenges, and there's nothing in the record to show that these risks have been assessed by the county. Third, while the FLUM shows high-density residential, that does not require rezoning. The Land Development Code, Section 5.02A and G, require that rezonings respect the built character of the surrounding area and avoid negative impacts. This area is still zoned RS2, and without a site-specific plan or transition, RG1 would be incompatible with the established neighborhood, as the gentleman over there recently spoke about. So in closing, this application lacks a site plan, a stormwater analysis, and lacks compatibility with the surrounding neighborhood. Approving it would violate multiple provisions of Section 5.02 of the LDC, as well as the intent of Article 12. These are not opinions, they are clear omissions and legal deficiencies in the application. So therefore, I respectfully ask you all to deny R-24005. Thank you so much for letting me speak.
Thank you, ma'am. Ms. Kim Wolford?
Do you swear or affirm the testimony you give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? I do. If you can state your name and address for the record.
Good evening, Commissioners. My name is Kim Wolford, and I live at 1315 Broome Street. I have to take a deep breath here. First of all, I want to thank you all for your service to the community. My late husband, was a former politician, so I appreciate your dedication and patience to serving the public. I am here this evening to present competent, substantial evidence in opposition to R2400-5. RG1 zoning is intended for areas with access to collector or arterial roads. According to Article 12 of the Land Development Code, RG1 districts should have convenient access to collector streets. Maxine Street is not a collector street. It's substandard and unimproved. While the applicant says it will be upgraded, there's no submitted plan, no timeline, and no funding commitment for this project. So I'm quick, I'm fast, and thank you for your time this evening. I would urge the commission to deny approval of this. Thank you so much for your commitment to the community.
Thank you, ma'am.
Mr. Chairman, how many more do you have?
That's it.
Okay.
Any cross-examination or rebuttal? Tab O. Ma'am?
Just, Commissioners, thank you for letting me come up here again. As our project, as I stated previously, will have no impact on Stewart Avenue. We cannot develop on existing, anybody else's property, only property owned by ours, and that's why we're developing Maxine Street to county standards. And that'll be required as we go through the development review process, so we will not encroach on any property. I know there was some discussion about some trees during the ownership change. There was the current owner wanted to clean up the site, there were a bunch of dead trees that had fallen down during the hurricane, and they were trying to get rid of those. They have met with the county arborist numerous times and talked with the county attorney. So they wanted to, hopefully, they have a code enforcement hearing, but they've dealt with most of the issues. But unfortunately, once it's posted, they have to wait to the hearing to get that dismissed. But they will comply with all the requirements of the county's tree ordinances. And there were not errors in the application. We have worked with the county attorney, and we appreciate her because we had to go back and forth a lot with some of the signatures. The change in ownership wasn't, we were not hiding anything. It was basically, as this process went, took longer than expected with the delays, as I mentioned earlier, with the school concurrency. One of the property owners did change, but as Mr. Macbeth mentioned, we got those authorizations approved. I worked very well with the county staff, and I appreciate it. We just, every once in a while, you get a little frustrated, things are getting delayed, but we worked with the process, and we appreciate the staff and working with them. And the school mitigation, that's the process. You have to submit the process to the school board. They tell you if there's capacity or not. If there's not capacity, and you commissioners know it, then we have to do a school mitigation agreement, which we have done and we have signed. This project will comply with all your local stormwater as well as water management district stormwater requirements to ensure there's no flooding created by this project. Unfortunately, some of the existing projects, the existing development in the area, which was built pre-water management, pre-drainage requirements, that's where a lot of times cause of flooding because there's no stormwater management, and this project will be designed to have stormwater management. And as I said previously, we feel it's consistent with the comprehensive plan. We will meet, and consistent with land development regulation, we will meet all stormwater requirements, buffering requirements. This is a conventional zoning, so it's not a PUD, a plan unit development, so there's no requirement for a site plan. Or traffic analysis, but obviously, as we go through the process, we will have to provide that, and your county staff will have to approve it before we can move forward. And as I said, we will have to build the road to county standards, and we plan to do that, but we can't do that until we get the rezoning. So that's why we're here, and we appreciate it. I appreciate all your time and effort, and whatever else, any questions you have, I'd love to answer. And the owners are here if you would like to speak to them also.
Thank you, Mrs. Fleet.
Thank you very much, Commissioners.
Any other questions? While she's here? Okay. Thank you. Mr. Macbeth, any final comments?
Mr. Chairman, I've been trying to hold out, but I can't hold out anymore. I need a brief recess.
All right, Mr. Macbeth, if you'll hold that, we're going to take a 5-minute recess, please.
Okay.
All right, we ready?
I believe we are.
Yes, sir.
Let me make sure everybody's back.
Okay.
Feel better?
We'll go ahead and reconvene. That was exactly 5 minutes. Thank you all very much for your patience. Mr. McBeth, did you have any final comments?
So staff has heard everything presented tonight and feels comfortable. If you have any questions, we'd be happy to answer those questions. Otherwise, we still feel that criteria is consistent with our comprehensive plan policies, FL02B, 0804, 0806, A through G, and the recreation open space level of service requirements, Land Development Code Section 502C and D, and review criteria 12A through N are sufficient and have been met. But we are available if you have any particular questions regarding this project.
Okay. Any questions from Mr. McBeth? No. Okay, thank you, Mr. McBeth. We'll close the public hearing on tab O, board deliberation. Any? Nope, then I'll entertain a motion on R 24-005.
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Martin.
based on the record, evidence, and testimony received, I find that there is competent and substantial evidence pursuant to Nassau County Comprehensive Plan Policies, FL.01.02B, FL.08.04, FL.08.06A through G, ROS.01.06, and ROS.01.09, and Section 12A through N of the rezoning application, and Section 5.02C and D of the Land Development Code. Therefore, my motion is to approve RS 24.005.
Okay, I have a motion from Commissioner Martin
Second.
and a second from Commissioner Farmer. All in favor?
This will be a voice vote.
Sorry, voice vote. I'm sorry. Madam Clerk, please call the vote.
Yes, sir. Commissioner Farmer?
Yes.
Commissioner Martin?
Yes.
Commissioner Gray?
Yes.
Commissioner McCullough?
Yes.
And Chair Hupman?
Yes.
And that's 5 ayes, 0 nays.
General public comment. Comments can be for items under the authority of the Board of County Commissioners. The time limit is 3 minutes. I'll call these in the order in which I received them as well. Mr. Irving Gilliard.
Good evening, Irving Gilliard, 5406 Leonard Street, American Beach, Florida. And I'm here to thank you, the county commissioners, for your continued support of the water and sewer project at American Beach. As you know, the water side was completed late last year, and hopefully in another couple of weeks, the sewer will be completed. So thank you for your continued support. Look forward to continue working for you. And I know where you sit can be a thankless job sometime. And in my lifetime, I've learned that, it's hard to please all the people all the time and difficult to please some of the people some of the time. So what we have to do is just pray and treat people fairly and do the best that we can. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Gilliard. Ms. Jackie Osborne.
I wasn't quite ready. Jackie Osborne, P.O. Box 16796, Farmington Beach, Florida. Good afternoon. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, for allowing me to speak with you about the Nassau Animal Services. The count this week is 57 dogs in the kennel and 28 cats in the cattery. Of the 28 cats, 9 of them are TNRs. That means they come in, they get spayed, neutered, and they go back out. Oftentimes, somebody will say, this cat needs to be taken care of, and the cat is caged. They trap it in a cage and bring it in, and then they return it back to its whatever. Not only do we have dogs and cats there, we also have a chicken at the animal shelter. I think we should name that chicken, since it's a chicken, it has to be a girl, right? We should name the chicken Lady Cluck. Thank you very much. Y'all have a great day. Thanks for helping the animal shelter.
Thank you, Jackie. Mr. Casey Jones.
How y'all doing? Just, Casey Jones.
There's no address on the card.
With Florida.
Could you state your address?
Sir?
No address on the card. Could you state your address for the record, please?
725 First Street.
Okay, thank you very much.
Just came to y'all 3 years ago about the weak sea turtle lighting ordinance that y'all have. I was told towards the end of sea turtle season last year that it looks like possibly have one before this year, so I was just checking back. Or they were looking into it, or I can't remember the exact words he said, but just, I haven't heard anything, so hopefully, something's being done. But 3 years is a long time when you didn't realize that the sea turtle lighting orders was so ineffective, so, but it's not necessarily the sea turtle lighting ordinance itself, it's the enforcement. And I've talked about that until I'm like blue in the face. I don't know how many meetings I've attended, but hopefully something is in the works, but that's it. That's all I got.
Great, thank you, Mr. Jones. Mr. David Lazarine?
Legal name David Miller, preferred name Lilith Lazarine, address is 85175 Rainier Street. Growing up in Nassau County, I have watched as the number of homeless people in this county has continued to grow, and now after returning from living out of state, I see that not only has our homeless population not been helped, and not only do many of your constituents sit in long lines hoping the food bank has enough for them, and that the food they get isn't rotten, but now I learned that you've been putting our tax dollars of your constituents towards an out-of-state training program managed by ICE for our officers since 2019 through the 287G agreement. Not only is that agreement a clear attack on immigrants, but the tax dollars of Nassau's people belong to Nassau, not to ICE for out-of-state training, that we have to cover nearly in its entirety with our hard-earned money. It is past time for an end to these racist policies and for our tax dollars to be invested into things that will actually help our community and the growing population of homelessness within it, such as community centers, temporary housing, or community-funded and maintained gardens, to not only feed our community, but to also teach the next generations how to feed themselves, so that way they are less likely to fall into the trap of homelessness in the first place.
Thank you very much, sir. And Ms. Sandy Carey. All right?
Yeah, I'm fine, thank you.
Mr. Oaks.
That pollen's killing me, man.
So in December of 2024, at the same PZB board meeting that I mentioned, there was improper actions by one of the board members, Ron Flick, which you all are aware of. I've had emails to all of you where I've asked you what remedial steps would be taken because it was stated publicly remedial steps would be taken with that board member. And I've written all of you, and you've indicated that you would check with the county attorney. I've asked her last week for a follow-up, and she said she's unclear what actions I'm referring to. Our volunteer board members are trained on public records, sunshine, and ethics, so on and so forth. We're very clear about the Shadowwood canopy designation meeting in which Mr. Flick sat there grilling the planning staff way beyond his authority on areas that did not pertain to that meeting. And all of you commissioners are aware of that. And it was inappropriate, and there were supposed to be remedial actions taken. This was many months ago, and I'd just like to know what's being done. I think it's inappropriate that he stay on that board.
Let her finish, and then we'll go ahead. I'm sorry, go ahead, please.
I think it's inappropriate to keep him on that board. He obviously is not trained, and he has other interests that are not objective, and there has been no remedial action. And I don't know how the county attorney can't be aware of those actions. You were, I think, at the meeting. Maybe it was your assistant, I'm not sure. But I know the commissioners are, because you all have answered me, that you would check with her. So did you check with her? Did you get an answer, Mr. Hupman?
If I may, I already answered that in email to you. It's in my.
You said
it's
you were
captured
going
in-
to check with her.
Correct. Well, one, I think you may have a confusion on the dates, but I'll let the attorney clear
Yeah,
that
the
up.
dates, I'm sorry, the dates for the
It wasn't
December
the
meeting was.
December meeting, this was back in
Right,
September,
it was October when the
September.
Shadowwood canopy.
Ms.
Okay,
Carey,
so
that-
Correct.
if I may.
Yeah.
Which is why I addressed you the way I did. I
Yes.
went back and spent a whole hour and a half rewatching the December 17th, 2024 meeting, which is what you referenced in your email. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay,
But
then
are
I
you
did
aware of
watch-
the
if
Shadowwood
I may
canopy
finish, ma'am.
designation?
Let's do this, Ms.
meeting?
Carey, let's do this. Well, let's do, the county attorney's going to speak, and then when she's done, then I'll acknowledge again, you can speak
Mm-hmm.
again, and then, okay, that way we are going to hear each other on the record.
Okay.
Okay, thanks.
Therefore, my response was I was unclear on what action you were talking about. I was ready to respond to what you talked about before, which is what occurred, and no, I was not at that meeting. However, I'm very well aware of it, and training was conducted in depth for over 2 days of all the Planning and Zoning Board members in October, which followed the first meeting you're talking about on Shadow Woods. And since that time, I have seen no difference or no problems with Mr. Flick or any other member of my board. So the answer that I gave you was in response to the dates you gave me.
I stand corrected. It was the December meeting about this rezoning tonight, but it was the Shadowwood topic that you all are aware of.
Then you would
Could you
have
tell me the 2 days those meetings were held?
Which meeting? I'll be
in
happy to get those
October.
for you in
No,
October.
I
and I'll
would like
send
you
them.
to provide them
Chairman,
tonight.
Ms. Carey has 3 minutes to speak, and whether she gets a response or not is up to each commissioner or the county attorney and county manager. This back and forth is inappropriate.
Understand? Thank you.
I'm happy to send you those
Chairman Martin.
dates, and if there is any recording of it, but this was held by the APA. This was not held by the county. There are no
APA?
recordings that we have.
What is APA?
We're gonna- I'm gonna-
American Planning Association.
Ms. May, I'm going to go ahead and, your 3 minutes are up. It sounds like we need a separate meeting outside of public forum to have a question and answer session for you. Be happy to do that.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. That's all I have on that. County manager business, Mr. Pope,
I have no other business tonight, thank you, sir.
Madam Attorney?
I have none. Thank you, sir.
All right. Commissioner business. Let's start with Commissioner Farmer tonight.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Saturday, April the 12th, Caitlin's Ride for Autism will be out there in Hilliard. If you hadn't seen it, look us up and come join us. Saturday, April 26th, Friends of NRA event will be held at Camp Sorensen, which is out at the Florida Sheriff's Youth Ranch's newest facility. And I apologize for having some pollen issues, but ever since last Thursday, it's been really tough. That's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much, sir. Mr. Gray?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. On Tuesday, 3/11, I had a pleasure to attend and be a guest speaker at Nassau County Young Republicans Club, meeting held out in Callahan. The event was well attended, and I really enjoyed it. I really appreciate them putting on the record for inviting me out. On 3/19, I attended the Timber to Tides County Engagement Meeting held right here in the county chambers. There was 2 meetings. It started at 4 p.m. and ended around 7:30 p.m. A lot of people from the public came on out, and it was very well received. A lot of information was shared, and I want to thank staff for their presentation that they gave to the public on Timber to Tides. And I want to say congratulations again to Mr. Gilroy on his retirement and wish him all the best. And I think that's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, sir. Mrs. McCullough?
I have no comment this evening. Thank you, Mr. Hutton.
Thank you, ma'am. And Commissioner Martin?
Yes, I spent a couple of days in Tallahassee last week for the Florida Association of Counties Legislative Days, and I want kudos out to our lobbyist, Mark Anderson, and his assistant, Josh Burkett. They gave us a good tour of the Capitol building. Commissioner Huffman joined me. He may have, I don't want to steal all of his thunder, he may have some comments he wants to make. But he gave us a good tour of the Capitol building, and I tell you, I need it, because you get in that, if you haven't been in the Florida State Capitol in Tallahassee, it's easy to get lost. It is massive. And so I appreciate them being welcoming to us, and helping us we met with our State Senator Yarborough and State Representative Black, and went over our legislative agenda with them, and it's really fast-paced, they've got a schedule, and you're lucky if you get 15 to 20 minutes with your rep, and usually, by the time you get to their office, it's, it's always staggered, and everybody's behind schedule, but we were early and waited and got in to see our rep and our senator, and I want to just give kudos again to Mr. Anderson, Mr. Burkett. It seems, I'm not going to know what's going to happen until, it gets to the governor's desk, and if he signs it or vetoes it, and whether it's something that we can, if he does veto anything for us, so we can overcome a veto. But from what our lobbyists and our representatives have told us, everything is looking pretty good. So I'm keeping my fingers crossed that we'll have a good year, and they'll bring home some bacon for Nassau County. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. And I as well don't have any commissioner comments. Ms. Carey, I would love to meet with you when possible. Thank you, ma'am. Okay, everybody have a great evening. We are adjourned.